Hello, everyone, and welcome to Denton, Texas, home of the Not Network podcast. It's a beautiful, bright, sunny, breezy day, and boy, I am so excited because it is perfect for our guest, Charlie Stubbs, aka Fissionary. He's a music artist, and man, are we going to talk about a doozy of things today. I'm so excited. Please enjoy, and remember, we're not networking, we're making friends. So today on Not Network, we're making history. We're making history. 2 musicians in a row. So last week we had our very first musician on, and now this week we have another.
The first time in podcast history.
It's never been done.
Never.
But this guy, all right, let me tell you, Jimmy.
Tell me
unique.
about it.
He's unique, all right? He's local.
Okay.
Shout out to Denton, Texas.
Yeeter.
He's original. He's experimental. He's creative. But most importantly, guys, he's Fissionary, guys. Please welcome Charlie Stubbs.
Thank you.
What up, Charlie?
What up, boys?
Let's give you some little snaps in here.
Yes, welcome.
Little snaps.
Poetry snaps.
Poetry snaps.
Yeah, thank you for being with us. He was going to be live in the studio, but, you know, COVID-19 really wreaks havoc.
I'm a little scared.
Actually,
in 2021, still happening.
Still happening, and people, this dude, I won't name names, but came to a rehearsal with the knowledge that his entire family, large extended family, had COVID and didn't tell anyone until this morning. So that was cool of him, and we thank him for that.
Unbelievable.
But now we're here. Still made it.
I feel like we have a new president sitting in office, so soon that's going to be a high crime.
Indeed.
It's going to be a felony.
It really, yes.
He'll be put away for life, and his whole family. He's gone.
Damn.
Say goodbye.
We got it.
Yeah. I mean,
super deep.
Look, if you mess with the Not Network podcast, you're going to feel the repercussions.
You're gonna feel our wrath. Yes.
You got that right. Okay, so you mentioned a rehearsal.
Yes. Just church rehearsal. Yeah, I was keeping it vague, but church rehearsal. Not
yeah, we should keep
not
it vague.
anything crazy. Yeah, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
No, I didn't know if you had like a band or if you were in like.
No. Bands are kind of. It's kind of a bad idea, because people. This is something. Yes, people want things to sound bad a lot of times, and I feel that being in a band, a lot of times you will join a band with people in the band will always try to drag you down. In my opinion, it's very rare that you don't have that situation where there's a bunch of different creative energies going in different directions. So I prefer not to be in any band besides church one, because that stuff is easy to play, and there's not a lot of disagreement about what you're there for.
That's true.
So are you saying what do you play in I guess the church? Like, what do? You sing, you write?
I play guitar, but I'm pretty trash at that.
Pretty trash.
I'm pretty trash. I'm pretty middle of the road. I'm a electronic.
Didn't you record some stuff for some of your music? Isn't that you playing? Or
yeah.
Okay, not
gonna
lie.
I can rip to a fair degree, but I do what I can.
That's why they call it garbage can, not garbage can.
Wow,
dude, I think you're the can.
I'm the can.
Dude. Yeah, dude, you're not the bag. You're the can. Because if you were a trash bag, then that's a different story. But if you're
that's
the can,
right.
You got this.
Because the trash never touches the can. The trash is flawless. It's spotless.
Honestly, if we're thinking about it, it's like in the whole artistic, I guess, career or lifetime, it's all about a process. So you start from somewhere, and then little by slow, you're going to make that increase of just improvement. You're going to push the needle a little bit further.
Yep.
So and I feel that, like calling my stuff trash, because I do that a lot.
Yeah.
And I have to like really think back and be like, it's not really, because when you look at it in the big picture, like I'm improving over time.
Everything's relative.
Oh, it's like that one quote. Do you know Ira Glass, Charlie?
No.
Do you know who that is?
I do not. No.
So this guy, I think he's on NPR. I don't want to say that.
Yeah, he's an NPR host.
Okay, yeah, NPR host. He has this quote, and it's about this thing called the gap. And what it is that to summarize it, an artist has like this certain vision, certain vision
Nice.
for like what he creates, and this gap is what's in his mind and what his skill and talent is in the present. So it's kind of like that disappointment of closing disappointment in the now and trying to close that gap.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I feel like a lot of artists go through that. Have you ever like had that thought process of like you have something in your head
Yes.
but you can't actualize it?
I think it's like something that you can never quite escape. And I mean, I don't know.
Mhm.
I've only been creating for so long, like only so much time on this planet, but like I feel like that's just built
young.
into how it works. I think it's an inescapable thing. And also like when people, I mean, I just said I'm trash. I mean, I don't know how much I even meant that, like you were saying, and I don't ever take it people's full word for it when they say I suck, you know, I'm so bad, I hate it.
Yeah.
Because like
Right.
you never really do. But I don't
Mhm.
know. It's just a bad habit, and I think it's just a consequence of that gap is to like kind of let others know that you are in the gap by saying it's trash. It's like a way to
Yeah.
recognize that you're there and that you can recognize the flaws in
Ooh.
your own music. But like, so that's why, you know, when I say
Uh-huh.
this sucks or like I hate it or
Uh-huh.
it's corny, don't listen to it, like it's not it's a recognition of the fact that there is improvement to be done, you know.
Right.
So yes,
and
I have been in there. I probably will continue to be for ever.
I think it's kind of important to be there, like, because if at some point you're like, man, every time I'm just reaching what I want to do, then I feel like you're not pushing yourself
Yeah.
anymore. You're not creating anything new or unique. You've just
Yeah.
found your comfort
Yeah.
zone. And you're
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm pretty good at this.
Yeah.
And so I think that's great. I think you should never reach that point. All of your goals should be unattainable.
Yeah, that's why it's like
Yes.
artistic exploration. There's the kind of like romance of just kind of getting out of your comfort zone and finding other things you like, and it's not like a straight line.
Yeah.
You might bounce around to a lot of different things. But I want to ask you, because I feel like this is interesting since we're bringing it up. It's kind of like self-deprecation. And
Mhm.
I did that, like I used to do that like a lot, and I kind of fell back into it. But it's like this fine. Do you think there's a fine balance between self-deprecation? Do you think there's pros to that, even though you're kind of hating on yourself? But as you said before, it's keeping that humility in check. What do you think about, I guess, self-deprecating?
It's hard. Like you
Right.
have to be truthful about the way you see yourself to some degree, because people can like pick up on that inauthenticity if you're clearly full of yourself or you clearly like what you
Mm.
made and you still continue to say it sucks, I hate it, whatever. Like that's not doing you any favors because you just are kind of lying. But like I do think that there is some balance to be attained there to where you can acknowledge that it's not the most perfect thing or that you're not a perfect artist. And
Yeah.
that's good, like you said, for keeping your humility in check and also, or your ego in check rather,
Mhm.
and also like letting other people know that you're not like a egomaniac in a way.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
think that's kind of the value of that. So, but only to attain those, it shouldn't be to like make yourself cool or anything. I think that's kind of the line I draw is when you are deprecating just to like elevate your own art, because that doesn't
Yeah.
really work.
Uh-huh.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, John Bellion once said, one of my favorite artists, he said, to fake humble is a whole new way to be arrogant.
Whoa.
Dude.
It's the truth. It's the truth, though.
It
It's like
is.
People really, if you like look at celebrities now who are like, okay, I'll say this. I think someone who's like actually humble is Dwayne The Rock Johnson, because he acts like an actual douchebag to people, but he's not. He's like, he always is making jokes about like how big and how superstar and famous he is,
Yeah.
but you can tell he's just like, he says it just to be joking.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
I feel like he's like an actually humble person, but someone, I feel like Tom Cruise, who always like downplays his role in Hollywood.
Yes.
And
and,
then
like,
goes
his
out and
huge
yells at his
superstar.
cast.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
It's like, that's like that you're like arrogant.
Yeah.
He thinks
Like,
he
you're
is a
faking it.
god. That dude.
For real though.
Yeah.
Wait, he's not?
Hold
Charlie, I want to ask you a question because I think this ties in well, and I know you got a lot of questions. I know Matthew
No,
has,
dude, go
has
off.
tons. But we were talking about bands, just a few minutes ago,
Mhm.
and how like being in a group of people, it's hard to kind of really have that artistic, have the vision up
Yeah.
front and have everybody lined in with the vision and everybody goal oriented, moving in the same way to accomplish that vision.
Yeah.
So does that kind of like humility and ego, is that why you don't like the band? Because you think everybody's trying to, because I mean, as an artist, you kind of have to be proud of your work, right? You kind of
Yeah.
have to be a little bit of a narcissist.
Mhm.
So is it that like narcissism that kind of, I guess, is unattractive with a band, is that everybody's trying to bolster themselves up?
I think it's just everyone, like you said, everyone's gonna have that ego, or,
Mm.
and if that's the case, like, I just think you kind of have to have one person who is the dictator in a way if you're gonna have a band, and
Right.
like, because if you have a bunch of equal egos competing for the same space, it's inevitable that it falls apart. And I feel like I explained myself a little poorly when I said like the don't join a band thing earlier, but that's the real reason. Is like what I would amend that statement to be is like, I wouldn't join a band unless I could be the guy who has executive power, not
Mhm.
because I would be fine with being an inferior musician to my bandmates, as so long as I get, final cut or whatever. That's like film term, but fucking whatever. Like, as long as I get the
Yeah.
final executive choices on what gets done, particularly with like the recording and just production choices. But like, one person has to have that. And a lot of times with bands, everybody tries to have it, and it just goes to shit. So that's
Yeah, well, there's a reason that a band is like a team.
yeah.
And, a team can only be really successful if everybody really knows their place.
Mhm.
Like I'm a big basketball fan, and I kind of liken it to that. There's 5 people on the court, and everyone has a very specific role.
Yeah.
But you can't have 5 superstars on the court at one time. Like, not everybody can dribble it up and take every shot. It just
Yeah.
doesn't work like that. Everybody has their role, and everybody plays their best and performs their best when they're supporting the person that needs to be supported the most
Yeah.
and playing in their role. So it should be the exact same way in a band, I would think.
I have
Yes.
a contrast statement to that.
Do you?
So
Ooh.
what about, I know, right? Because now I'm just thinking. So if everybody has, their specific role, because life happens, I guess, and I'm thinking in like a team network, and I really kind of relate this to, Charlie, we kind of like to interview 3D graphics. I'm super into 3D. I do some Cinema 4D stuff, visual effects. And there's a studio in Dallas. It's called ABC Studios, and it's run by this guy named Barton Damer.
Barton.
Shout out to Barton. And the way he structures his team is that everybody's super tight. Everybody's a pro, right?
Mhm.
But they have their own individual kind of positions. However, if somebody is slacking, or maybe they have a project that needs, maybe people need to hop on the box for, I guess, simulations, or maybe motion design, or maybe kind of marketing, or setting up a scene better, lighting, what have you. Each of those individual people in those roles move over. So they're kind of like a generalist, if that makes sense. So the way I think of it is that, like in your analogy, I guess, your metaphor is that each player has a specific job, right? But, if there's an open position, if you're playing guard or something, I don't know basketball, but I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're
Nice.
playing guard or something, and and I guess if somebody has the ball and the ball is open for you to grab it, even though you're guarding, you can still grab it, dribble it down the court, and then figure out a strategy. Like, people can mix and match
Yeah.
those different positions.
Yeah, and it's good to be flexible.
Right. It's called
Yeah.
decentralized command, I
Ooh.
think. So everybody has that ego, right? But then we trade off who gets the attention. Sorry, I just went on a whole spiel with
No,
that.
but like, because that's gonna happen. I think inevitably is that you're gonna have
Uh-huh.
interplay between different people's responsibilities, but it's just being careful that people don't kind of encroach in your space. I think
Right.
you have to just like have predetermined, either predetermined like spaces where people operate, or let it fall into place naturally, and then just decide who is the top dog in a way. You
Yeah.
have to do
Yes.
some sort of managing of that. Like there has to be some system to let that interplay happen, because if you can't just let it roam wild, is I guess what I'm saying.
I think to your point, the front runner doesn't even have the biggest responsibility of that. Like I think of Paramore personally because I know that we have a friend that's super into Paramore. But anyway,
Hey Joy.
Shout out to Joy. But I guess the band really resented Haley Williams because the I guess the industry or the who are the people that like
Producers?
no the recording
Studio?
The record label.
record label. Yes, the
There you
record label was like really pushing her because she was really young, she was really popular, she was
she's
very
like 19.
marketable. Yeah, and the band was like, we're not getting any attention. It's like, yeah, dude, you play the bass, and that's extraordinarily important. Okay, like don't get me wrong, that's extraordinarily important. People don't even realize that, but it's like
You're not the
she's
face.
she's the face.
Yeah.
She's the
Yeah.
face of Paramore. When you think of Paramore, you think of her.
You couldn't.
But she got a lot of resentment, and I think to my point is the responsibility was on him to say, okay, I'm here to support her to make all of us better.
Right.
You know?
Yes, like, and you couldn't join that band not expecting one person out
yeah.
of the 4 or 5 to become the face. So
Of
like
course.
that's another thing, is finding people to join a band with that like if something starts happening, or like if you guys all come together and begin to promote yourselves well, like people have to understand the strategy that y'all are using, you know, and a lot of times everybody's got different ideas in that too, like how to present yourself to the world. And like there generally has to be a face. It's very rare that like every band member is the face.
Yeah.
And it's just like
almost I can't think of a single example.
Yeah.
I can, maybe Led
Kiss.
Zeppelin, but even then,
Yeah.
they're, you know, Page and Plant are more.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like someone's gonna get, like, people can only pay attention to so many icons at once, especially from the
true.
same band, you know. So
Yeah.
Right.
that's just another arena where like people's egos will fight, will be at odds, is like how to present your band.
I'm seeing a theme here. Maybe it's just because we're on the topic, but it's like ego is the enemy. And Charlie, how do you, I guess, because I mean you're young, right? And usually young people have sort of an ego, and I'm interested to know your thoughts on this. But how, as a young person, and you know people who are younger, how do they control their ego to, I guess, with the team and accomplish the main, I guess, mission of what they're doing? Because ego is the enemy. Shout out to Ryan Holiday for making that book. Ego is the enemy. But I'm curious what your thoughts are.
Is this in regards to like if you're on a team, or is this just an individual like question? How
As
I would manage it as,
I guess, like, okay, maybe contrasting an individual artist like yourself and then to a band member.
Okay.
Because I bet that it gives and takes.
yeah. As far as individuality goes, I think it's a little bit more difficult because like there's no one to shut you down. Because like in the case of a band, if you have one designated person who's like the top, given that they have like some social skill to be able to tell you that an idea is not working, or suggest a new idea in place of yours, or tell you that you've gotten a little out of control, like in a loving, constructive way. A lot of times people don't have that skill, but like given that you have that, it's way easier to keep everybody's ego in check. And a lot of times it will kind of become the top dog's job to keep people in line and like to keep it from falling apart. But as an individual, there's no really way to do that. So you have to watch yourself really closely. And like, I mean, I've only been making music for so long, so it's like, it's hard to even say that it's been that much of a challenge. But even this just goes to show how much ego is the enemy. Like in making like 2 albums, like the wild shifts in like really high ego moments and really lows is pretty wild. And so like I think for a lot of people that's kind of how it evens itself out naturally, is like there are times, particularly like when you're finishing an album and you're like seeing it through all the way and you're like seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, or like right after you've released it where you're like so high up here, like this is awesome, this is my favorite album. And then like it's been like probably 6-8 months since I put mine out, and it's gotten old, you know, and I'm down here low again. And so like that sets a baseline, you know, and that's kind of what I've been relying on, is for there to be in between the moments of insecurity and the moments of egomania, there to be like normal, yeah, where you're not a douchebag.
It's almost like a drug.
Yeah.
Like, so now you're at this point where you're like, okay, it's been a while. My music, like, kind of this last album's kind of getting old for me.
Yeah.
Now you're like, I need that fix again. So
yes.
it inspires you. I would guess. I'm just talking out loud here. It would inspire you to just get back in the studio, start creating another one, so you can reach that high again.
Yes.
And it just becomes cyclical, and that's what kind of keeps you going.
That's what I think. That's what keeps everyone going. Like the other night, because I've gotten so sick of Learjet's the new album, but like I was. Thanks, man.
I think it was hard with that,
dude. I do,
dude.
We'll talk about it.
That's sick. Yeah, we'll talk. I was listening to it like just sped up the other night, because I was like, I've been practicing DJing, and like you can change the speed of songs in there. So I was just playing my song sped up, and even like hearing it in like a nightcore version, like with my voice super like chipmunked and stuff, like it gave me that same feeling of like, oh, this is like actually pretty cool. Like, to hear, it's new, to hear it in a new light. So any time you can get that is good. It can't be all the time, you know?
Yeah. You can only do so much.
Yeah.
You can only do so much crack cocaine.
That's so true.
So true.
That's a hard one.
It's like the balance of vices, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's, like you said, it's like an addiction. Yeah. Addictions aren't really good for you, but you know, it's kind of nice when you need that little boost right now.
Yeah.
Sure. We're not promoting or condoning any kind of drug.
Don't do crack.
Yeah.
Make music instead.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a less dangerous.
You have
thing
to have
do.
something to fill that hole with. I think
you're right.
You have to kind of have a vice. I don't know why, but everyone has to, and so you can take your pick. I think I've chosen the ego trip of finishing an album over drugs.
Yeah. Hey, that's good.
Yeah,
it's
man.
actually really deep. You do have to pick something to do, because if you don't, you just wallow with, you know, I guess the monotonous daily life of surviving, not really living, if there's no goal to accomplish or something.
Yeah.
Ambition.
Yeah.
Having ambition is good, but too much ambition can be bad.
I mean, that's kind of where depression kicks in, if we want to go there. Like if you have no aspiration for the day, if you have no goal for the day,
yeah,
and you just end up kind of sitting and you're like, where's this going? The days are just passing by and I have no hope for like what am I doing?
Nothing distracts you from how like bizarre life is in general. Like everything around.
So true.
You have to have something to like help you not think about it. And
yeah, Charlie, when you get into a low, like I guess when the album release high isn't to the max, isn't the apex, and you went down to the low, do you do anything or have any strategies to kind of pick it back up, or just kind of get like, I don't know, a little hop on the highs and lows of
weirdly, like
things?
I get off of, I mean, I'm not super prone to depression or anything, but when it happens, like I try to get off my phone, and it happened like pretty intensely this past summer, and I ended up getting this flip phone here.
Oh,
just to like
flex.
Yeah, it's pretty. I got it just to like confirm to myself that I don't need it, and that like life is happier when you're not constantly fucking looking for that like dopamine hit, and that's, you kind of have to. So I mean, when I'm in a low, I rebel against it in that way, like rather than conceding and like trying to just lay in my bed and like look at my phone all day. I try to just like start reading, and it's like depressing at first because it's like way boring compared to like watching YouTube. But I feel like it it goes away quicker because it becomes easier to appreciate what you're doing because there's like less stimulation. So that's been my only method that's worked. Everything else has not worked.
That's a good habit to get into, is when you start feeling that emotion or lack of emotion, I guess you could call it. At least that's how it is for me. Like, I just kind of shut down if I get in that mode.
Yeah.
Is to get in the habit of like taking an action, of like having a plan of like when I start feeling this way, it's like, okay, just get off the phone, grab a book, start, I don't know, go outside, take some pictures or something.
Yes.
Something that you enjoy that's not
Something
the
for
monotony.
you.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you got to
That's
break it
also-
up.
Yeah, and you have to have a lot of self-awareness, I bet, to recognize that, because sometimes people just feel numb and they're like, I don't know what to do. I'm freaking out. I can't do anything. And they don't have, I guess, words. Words are really important. You have the words to communicate that too.
Yeah.
It's huge. So I want to kind of get back into
We kind of
that was
Dude,
a-
we
that
got
was a-
fucking
that was a-
dark.
Yeah, for real.
We went into it,
Goodness.
boys.
yeah,
I love it.
love the
I love it.
darkness.
I mean, getting deep, man.
You gotta like dip your big toe in
Yeah.
into the
Dude.
darkness. Look, maybe your ankle deep, just to get out. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's like quicksand, man.
Yeah.
It
Well,
is like
you
you
gotta recognize it.
we could have gone down that road for a lot longer. So I'm glad we're pivoting a little bit.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I just want to talk about you a little bit, because that's kind of what we're here for. All right, we bolster
yeah.
the boys. That's what we do,
Bolstering the boys.
and the ladies. And the ladies. But I kind of want to get into like the origin story of Fissionary. I want to get into the
Okay.
name. I want to get into where you like discovered this talent and what made you want to like pursue this as a career.
Man.
Let's get into the
in-
weeds.
Throughout all of high school, I was super into, I don't know how much you guys know about folk punk music.
That sounds like
We were listening to some
math.
folk music like
Were you?
10, 20 minutes ago.
What
yeah.
folk
not
music?
folk punk though. This was
Not
banjo
folk
stuff.
punk? Okay. Well, it sounds, folk punk was like, it is what it sounds like. It's like a combination of folk and, like, it's basically punk music with folk instrumentation. And I was super
Nice.
into that with all my friends, but it kind of gave me, it was like the first music that showed me that you can shake it up, I suppose. And so, like, there was bands like Andrew Jackson Jihad. I'm naming these bands just for anybody who knows.
Yeah, shout out.
Ghost Mice, Pat the Bunny, all of these different bands like were the first like kind of awakening that I had, where it's like, whoa, you can combine elements of really like disparate genres, you know. And I started like really writing songs because of that. But I also at the same time, like probably like 16 or 17, stopped practicing guitar. And so my ability to like write anything that was compelling on the guitar was declining. I mean, I was growing as a songwriter and also like decreasing in skill. So I found electronic through that. I got FL Studio when I was like 16 or 17, and maybe 17. And I made my first song, Descriptions, which is the title track from my first album. When I was
So you're saying that was the first song that you ever made?
yes, sir.
Wow.
Whoa.
Or the first electronic song I ever made, which
Yeah.
you can, it's evident by the production, but like, that was the turning point for me, where I was like, okay, this is something I could actually kind of like get obsessed with. And I'm like that, to where I have very few things I'm interested in. And, that's like, electronic has been the number one on that list ever since I made Descriptions.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating to me. You can do so much. It's so expressive. Like, you really can make any sound imaginable. Like, there's infinite possibilities, and I've just been really fascinated by that, because I've always felt like, as much as I love guitar and as much as it kind of like ignites my soul to play it, like it doesn't. I've struggled for so long to find a way to make it expressive in a way that's unique, and I think that's just a consequence of like the time that we're living in. It's a little too late in a way for guitar music,
Ah.
or at least it needs time to come back. So that's just for me. It's also just because I'm not that great at guitar, so that's been my my rationale behind getting into electronic and shit. So
That's an interesting perspective. What you were talking about with the guitar, like you kind of missed that time. Like,
Yeah.
it's been done, and it's been done very, very well for a very long time. And now that era is like, I'm not gonna say it's over, but like, I don't know. It's very
It's like shifting.
It's shifting.
yeah.
Shifting.
Very much, and you can definitely tell that with music.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm personally fascinated with music. I'm not a musician myself, but I enjoy it. I'm very much an appreciator of music, and it's been a huge part of my life. Like I'm one of those people that there's always a song going through my head, like to the point where it's annoying. You know,
same here, man.
just every day I wake up with a new song, and it's just like, oh my god.
What song's playing right now?
Well, now it's Description since he
Oh,
brought
shit.
it up. So I know, right?
You guys want to hear mine?
Yeah.
You are a piece of me I wish I didn't need. You know that song? Clarity?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And I
Alright.
don't know why. Just thought I'd share.
Damn, your voice is so smooth.
Snaps for that one.
Snaps, dude.
Snaps for that one. That
Dude,
was sick.
thanks, bro. Thank you.
But yeah, there's
Love that.
I mean, there's just always something going on, but it's like almost primal. Like music just seems like such a important part of humanity for some reason. It feels natural even when sounds are very unnatural, especially in electronic music. It's like, why is this satisfying to my ear? This is unnatural.
Beep.
And we were beep boop bop like Mr. Krabs. But a couple of weeks ago, we were talking with somebody who used to produce electronic music, but he was super into dubstep and like Skrillex and Deadmau5, like that type of stuff,
Yeah.
2012 type of stuff.
Interesting to be
it's like-
2021, still on the dubstep train.
Yeah. But it's like, why is this appealing to my ear? It's like, I don't know. The way I described it is like I showed it to my grandpa, and he was like, "This is horrible," and I hate it. But he was like bobbing his head.
Yes.
Like you just can't help it.
There's
know?
still like a familiarity in all of it, even in dubstep, like some of the most extreme and corny, like just all of the things people dislike about electronic in general amplified. It's still it's still respectable, and like when we talk about like natural versus unnatural, I think electronic gets thrown into the unnatural zone pretty unfairly, because I think with like the early designs of synths and stuff, people automatically associated it with like space age technology and like space, because it does, like, if you didn't know what was going on, it does have that look, like especially the like old Moog synthesizers, stuff like that. Like it's very spaceship looking, but it's like when you really think about it, it is still natural. It's something that humanity is harnessed to be an instrument like any other. And so I kind of have taken down that line between like natural and unnatural. I think that's also why it's appealing to people who don't even like get into it on a normal basis, is because it's still made by people, you know, even if.
What a fascinating thought, because I've thought about this too. Like nothing really is unnatural to us. Like there's no such thing as something being unnatural, because everything that's ever been created or that we've ever seen has all been from the earth. Like every element, like there's nothing alien about anything or nothing foreign about anything.
No.
At all.
Even like the most like crazy poisons and food and like all this like industrial stuff. And like for a synthesizer, like electricity is natural. It's using electricity. So like even that, it is natural. It is on the earth.
Even when you go ahead.
No, that's it.
Even when you're like, sorry, once you said, you know, you don't see the line between natural and unnatural, my mind just kind of like went off on the perspective of what, you know, what we were just talking about. And also when you like, I guess, record sounds or you sample stuff, and when you get the just sounds that, like, you know, a synth makes, you're just changing kind of a few dials and just making it a little bit off kilter, something, you know, exploration. You're just trying to find out what sounds really cool to you, and
Yeah.
then you're layering it up, and then you're combining it with a bunch of different. You're fusing it together,
Mhm.
and then once it's all done, it's like, it's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
So that's a really neat perspective to have, is that, you can't look at it like, oh, that's unnatural, or oh, just a computer's doing it. No, it's not. It's coming from me.
Right.
Into
It's
the
a
computer.
it's a tool like any other, and I think this is the people that are still saying this kind of stuff are mostly people like your grandpa or my grandpa, where they like,
Yeah.
and you can understand why they don't get it, because they just didn't grow up with it. They just didn't care when it was happening at the beginning. But like, it just doesn't make sense to say that. So I kind of give people the pass for saying stuff like that. But
Mhm.
it's still like, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It's still coming from a person, and it's a tool.
Yeah. Like our grandparents' dads probably felt the same way about the electric guitar.
Yes.
Like, what is
Dude.
That sounds awful. And then
Yes.
it becomes a staple in the industry. It's like
Yeah.
everything's relative.
It
Everything's
is.
relative. Everything keeps going.
Yep.
It's like woodworking, I think. People can like look and see, oh, it's a tool, but there's actually a crafter behind it.
Yes.
And like you said, the computers are the tools that we use, but there is also a person behind it. And I think, because I guess it's translated on the medium of like, a laptop or some speakers, it's easy to think some system is doing this. There's nobody behind it.
Mhm.
But when you look past that, oh, there is a creator.
Yeah. Yeah, always. Like the computer, a lot of times the computer isn't even like the primary element, but even if it is, even if like
Mhm.
everything you've done is like all MIDI sequenced in your computer, like it's still a person.
Yeah.
And I see why people don't hear that. And that's also like one of the most fascinating parts of electronic production to me, is having to introduce like human elements and humanizing the parts that you do make, so that people can
Mhm.
kind of hear, like, because when there's a recording of a guitar, like a person who knows absolutely nothing about music can listen to it and know right out of the gate that a person is playing it. But like,
Yeah,
if a
right.
person who knows nothing about music is listening to like electronic music, they don't, like you said, they don't always know. They assume it was just like, I don't know, AI generated or something, or that's like the reaction people have against it, is like it was generated by something inhuman. But that's part of the art of it that's cool to me, is like you have to learn how to introduce elements that tell people that there's a human behind it. Like you have to purposefully introduce imperfections, which is like a part that's specific to electronic music that's like really interesting. So
I think that's why your sound is kind of definitive, or like it can be pointed out, is because you do introduce those kind of they're imperfections, but I think they're more like offsets.
Purposeful imperfection.
Exactly, they're purposeful, and it's the same thing what you're saying for like 3D and motion designs, because you can set linear keyframes on like a bunch of different objects, and it can look very robotic, and I guess with sound it can sound very robotic and very structured. But then you just add a little bit of offset, you tweak it just a bit, and then you have it just crazy, just flowing madness. I don't know how to describe it, but it's super sick and dope.
Yeah, that's like, it's the exact same thing, where you have to kind of like sketch it out first and then go back and add the humanity later, which that's cool.
You're like chiseling it down like a sculpture.
Yeah.
So like you have your big layout, and then like you said, you go back and you just trim it down, and you make it more personal, and you put your touch on it.
Yep.
Little details, little finite details that nobody else would understand or see, but you make those little fine details to a bunch of different layers.
Yep.
Then it starts. You getting that emotion.
It affects the whole.
Yes, the whole.
The whole.
The whole. This is such a fascinating topic, and I think for you, obviously for the listeners, you can't see what I'm seeing right now, but behind Charlie is deep space right now.
Deep space.
We're over a Zoom call.
We're over a Zoom call, and he's got this Hubble picture of the 100 galaxies in the frame or whatever, and it's kind of.
Oh, those are galaxies?
Those are all galaxies.
Oh my
know.
God.
So for those who don't know, I'm a bit of a space nerd, and I'm enamored with deep space. I follow Hubble on Instagram, and for those who don't, you absolutely should too, because it's just it gets your mind going. each one of those are a different galaxy, each containing billions of stars, and the average star has 2 to 3 planets around it.
Whoa.
Dude.
Each of those stars
I'm so
potentially has an average of 2 to 3 planets around it.
that
And
just
in that frame, one little piece of space, there are hundreds of galaxies.
that makes me think of how like small we are, and then like when we create things and we think it's small, and then we make those minute differences, and it comes together as like this perfect masterpiece creation. Dude, that just gets me so pumped.
I know.
For like futures and just like, I don't know, other people's aspirations and what they can accomplish. They're different lives and different stories, and that's what we're here for. We're here for the story.
The story.
Whoa.
Mm.
I forgot why I started talking about. Oh yeah,
Now I'm just freaked out about how small I am.
dude. Right. Right.
Smallness is cool though.
It's like even on this Earth, we're not even the biggest creature.
Yeah.
Like, not even close.
I don't know, 5'7's pretty big.
Yeah, Jimmy's pretty big. I'll give you that. Jimmy's pretty big. But like,
Shout out to the Short Kings.
yeah, it's easy to feel meaningless. That's why we have to give our life meaning.
Whoa. Existential here.
Whoa.
Damn.
Dude, and
Double rainbow all the
How tall are you guys?
5'7", dude.
5'7". I'm 5'11".
I don't believe
Dude,
I am.
I'm right in between you guys. Short
Yeah,
Kings,
5'9".
bro. Short Kings.
Aw,
that. Nice,
man.
nice.
I don't fit in the short. Wait, how tall are you though?
I'm 5'9", 5'8",
5'9".
5'9".
Is
That's-
that right in between a 5'7", 5'8", 5'10"?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Oh shit.
dude,
It is.
don't check my
I think
math.
that's the exact.
Don't you
I'm
do
so
that.
slim.
I think that's the exact average for a male in America.
I think so
5'9"
too.
Is the magic number.
I wish I was just above average then.
Yeah.
I would
Well, I'm sorry.
honestly, just to be at
Damn, okay.
5'11" is like my dream. I don't even need 6 foot. Don't you understand that?
You know what I do about like tallness, like when I'm feeling like really down on how, short I am, and when I can't see like over people, I just look up online. And we were talking about Tom Cruise earlier, and he's a secret agent, but Tom Cruise is 5'7", and that just really validates my height. That I'm the best
Yeah.
height to be a secret agent.
You
Yeah.
can still accomplish things in this world.
Exactly. That gives me hope.
I mean, some things are designed for short people, like pilots, like fighter jet pilots are generally supposed to be
Oh,
shorter.
true,
Horse
true.
jockeys,
Okay.
True.
they're generally shorter, smaller people because the less
True.
weight on a horse, the faster they go. Faster they go.
Heard.
You gotta be. I bet you're pretty
Mm.
aerodynamic. I bet if we,
Dude,
I bet if we
you
put
wanna
you in a
pick me
wind
up and
tunnel,
throw me?
It's
Yeah.
not too late to try anything, so go for
Dude,
it, bro.
You're so right.
What else is good for short people?
Let's see.
Like
Probably,
cleaning storm drains.
yes. Yeah.
You know what? Fuck it. That's what I'm
Fuck
doing
it.
now.
Yeah.
Storm drain cleaner. Maybe the next Mike. What is his name? Mike Jones, Dirty Jobs guy.
Oh,
Mike
yeah.
Rowe.
Mike Rowe.
Shout out to
Mike
Mike
Rowe.
Rowe.
Dude,
Dude,
he was
for
an Eagle
real.
Scout.
That show
Really?
is
Yeah.
awesome.
Dude, it so is. So is awesome.
Well, now I gotta look up how tall Mike Rowe is. Just
I
this is
okay.
for
I
science.
He's
bet
actually
you that dude.
5'4".
If it would make sense, he's gotten in some nasty, small, cramped places before. So
I know.
Nasty crevices.
crevices.
Nooks and
He's
crannies.
6 feet tall.
He's 6.
Good for
Oh
him.
shit!
He's
My
the tallest out of all of
hypothesis
us.
was all wrong.
What a man.
But shout out to tall people too.
Big
Doing
time, dude.
doing
Eh.
dirty jobs and fitting into nooks and crannies.
I know. I can't
I'm a little
imagine.
bit. I'm anti-tall people. I have the opposite opinion.
Yeah. Well, we've all got to have an enemy. We've all got to have an enemy.
You
True.
barely slipped under the tall person threshold by being 5'11".
6 foot the line.
I still
We
don't
can
think
still be
you're
friends.
5'11".
I am, dude.
You know what, okay,
Promise.
if you're 5'11", you're close enough to be 6 foot, and usually you just say, "Oh, I'm 6 foot."
No, but I don't
So-
want to be 6
Oh,
foot. I
do
never
you?
wanted to be 6 foot. I
Exactly.
wanted to be 6'1". That was my dream. Because 6 foot, like if it just sounds like I feel like I sound like an idiot if I tell people I'm 6 foot. I'm 6 foot tall. Like no, I want to say I'm 6'1". 6'1"
I would
is
kill
short
to
and
say those
concise.
words.
I'm 6'1". Like, oh,
Charlie's over here. It's like,
I would die.
that's my dream.
yeah, just 5'11". I mean, first of all, it's truthful. I am 5'11", and it just sounds better.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it
Not a
does.
liar.
It has. It rolls off the tongue better.
It does. 5'11", 5'11", 5'11".
6. I'm 6 foot.
I'm 6 foot.
Yeah,
tall.
tall.
it's
6 feet tall. I'm 6 feet tall. Feet.
People say 6 foot.
6
5 foot.
feet tall. Ew.
I'm 5
Right.
foot tall.
Wait, why do we
No.
say that? 6 foot tall. That's stupid.
Foot. Yeah.
I think so too.
We need to. Okay.
Lots of
From
mysteries
now
here.
on, 6 6 feet, right?
No.
That
No,
sounds
it's
stupid
not
too.
right.
Foot.
It's not right.
Anyone who's 6 foot, you can just
6
log
foot
off
people are
right now. We
canceled.
don't want you.
Yeah.
They're,
They're canceled.
they're
Nobody
so
wants you.
done.
Yeah.
I hate them.
Just kidding. We love you, and we want you to listen to the rest of the podcast.
Yeah.
Please keep listening.
So the point being,
Bringing it back.
I actually remembered my question through all of that somehow.
Okay, sick.
That's amazing.
So do you think, Charlie, that we can actually create anything? Like really,
God.
like every element is unique and something that is actually genuinely created and not been done before or not inspired by something truly unique. Do you think that is really, really possible?
What?
Whoo. Y'all ready for some ancient wisdom?
Yes.
Give me that ancient wisdom.
King
Let's hear it.
Solomon said, "There is nothing new under the sun." And I believe that to be true in the sense that no idea comes from within. I think ideas are like external things and that we're kind of like receivers for those ideas. But like in execution, there are individual things that you can do that have never been done before. But I think in the grand scope of like any creative pursuit, like any style of creativity, you can't make a contribution so large that you can say, I acted alone and was not influenced by anyone or anything. Like, that's not real. That's what I don't believe can be new.
King shit.
King Solomon
For real, though,
shit.
King Solomon. King
Dude,
Solomon. shit.
That's kind of dope. Solomon
He-
was the wisest man.
Dude, he was so wise.
Wow.
That's crazy to think about because that's so true about I guess I was talking with somebody about influencing. Do you get that from inside or outside? And you're right. It's like the stuff that we think about inside our heads where it was influenced us from the outside world.
Yeah.
Putting it in. And the only thing creative, and it's funny you mentioned creativity of finding new solutions, is because to be like a leader or like a team leader, the head honcho, top dog, got you by the balls guy, he is influenced from his teammates, and he's the glue, right? He's going to do anything and everything he can to fit them together, and that sometimes requires a little bit of creativity, some new solutions, trying out new things. And whoa, dude, we're making a full circle right now.
Dude, we did.
Dude, I love
Yeah, and it's
circles.
like I'm thinking about how people take credit for things, and it's like I believe you can take credit for your work or your management skills, like the work you do to bring something to fruition, but the actual ideas part of like being creative or bringing something new about is like it's never really you, because like when we say like I have writer's block or whatever, it's not it's like your brain is no longer receiving new ideas because like you're relying on some other source for those ideas to come. And I don't know like where those are coming from, but I don't think you can take credit for the ideas part. It's just the work that you do to once you have the ideas. That's kind of how I view it.
And it's kind of like, in our dreams, you've heard that like every face that you've ever seen in your dreams, you can't create a face. You've seen that face before.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Have you heard that? Yeah. So any face, any person that you've seen in your dream is someone who your brain is like, you've laid eyes on that face before somehow.
Or it's a combination of different faces that you've seen.
Like your brain, you can't create.
Yeah, you can't synthesize those. You can't. You really like. You can think of images too, but it's always based on what you've seen before, or some combination of what you've seen, or colors you've seen, or so. Like I think the same thing is true for ideas.
Like writer's block. And that's funny you say, because the solution to writer's block is go get some new experiences. Take a walk. Pop a squat on the ivory throne, chill out for a second or two.
Yep.
And then, get back to work or something and go for a walk. Dude, that's wild.
Yeah.
So now I have a real philosophical question. Okay. And
Oh, man.
We're
this
going
is
deep.
about probably as deep as my brain can go.
Deeper than this.
Deeper than this. So imagine, all right, bear with me. A human being is born fully functional in all ways except they have no senses. So like Helen Keller was born deaf and blind. So
She
imagine
can touch and feel though.
I know, but the rest of them are
okay,
gone. So
yeah.
you can't touch, you can't feel, even internally, you can't feel anything. Hear, see,
you even
touch.
alive?
No, that's what I'm saying. Do you know that you exist at that point? Do you realize in your brain, can you know that you actually exist without any outside influence?
Well,
That's so scary.
I couldn't say for sure, but if I had to like try to answer, I think all you have to go off of is your senses, like what's coming in. And so like literally, like we were just talking about, everything you do or think is based on your experience. So you can't see, you can't hear, you can't touch, smell, or feel.
Nothing.
So
You don't know that you exist.
yeah,
What about like
You don't know anything.
you don't
Hold on.
know that. Oh my goodness! Yeah, I don't think
You're still
could
nothing.
know.
There's nothing.
I've a contradiction to that.
Go ahead.
Okay.
So if you're alive and you're born, you have all these senses. Okay, at the start you have all of those senses. Say there's a terrible fire. Okay, you lose. There's like 90% burns all over your body. You
Yeah.
lost your sense of smell. You lost your eyesight. You went deaf because it burned your eardrums. You have no feeling in your skin.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that would be in a sense.
But
of,
then you've had your experiences still. So
Yeah.
you could still be.
Oh,
But like I'm
but
saying,
like
you
no
are
new
born.
experiences.
Like from conception,
Yep.
you have not had a single experience.
It sounds wild, like a clone.
You don't exist.
if you
At
get
that
burned, can you like? Are you just in constant pain? Like if you singe
like-
your receptors, whatever, off, can
so
you?
No, those are third degree and up burns that eliminates all the nerves. There was a guy that I was in like elementary school with, and our teacher's son, his name is like Dallas, and he basically like all of his face was like just burned off. And this is what I thought of it. All of his face was burned off, and he had to get like a whole face transplant kind of thing. But like most of his like nerves and senses were gone, just pretty much gone. He had like 30% eyesight receptors, but it was wild. It's crazy.
Man.
I have no idea what happened to him now,
I
but
hope he's doing all right.
yeah.
Shout out.
Cheery
definitely
story.
in
Seriously, dude.
because
No
we
happy
keep going dark. I
ending.
keep going dark.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I guess it is like you need to have some sort of way to like sense the world around you to know that you're here,
Yeah.
which
Yeah, and create.
sucks. And
But
definitely
you still
create.
exist to other people.
Yeah.
You still exist to other people. Like you still have bodily functions. Everything else, like I said, is completely natural and normal about you.
Yeah.
You just have you wouldn't be able to do anything.
Yeah. You wouldn't even be able to, like, it's weird that someone could live and like still carry themselves in the world, but not be aware that they're doing it. That's where I get into is like robot.
Yeah, sometimes I kind of feel privileged to think that I have these, I was born like surprisingly enough with all 10 of my fingers.
Whoa.
Or like with limbs and sight, and like it's like and when I look at people that are blind or are deaf, like I feel, I don't want to sound douchey, but it feels like such a privilege to have that, even though when somebody else doesn't. And I think that speaks a lot to kind of the empathy that other people need about kind of people with disabilities and helping them function in a society so that they can do well and create too.
Yeah, well, the whole idea of privilege is that someone who we would call unprivileged or not as privileged is like when the society was not built for them.
Yeah.
You know, and like society is not built for people who cannot see.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and cannot hear.
Yeah.
Like it's just it's different. Not to say that their life is any less valuable.
Exactly.
At all,
Yeah.
At all,
Yeah.
because they can experience life to their fullest. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's just things are not designed to be catered to someone who is not quote unquote normal.
Mm-hmm.
Whoo wee,
Going
boys.
deep on the Not Network podcast.
We
man.
are in the depths
Charlie,
of hell right
did you
now.
ever think? Did you ever think we were going to talk about this?
I
Privilege.
kind of had a feeling. Well, just considering that I do not know you guys very well, and something I've noticed is like, it's actually, you'd think like when meeting someone that you don't ever get into conversations like this, but more often than not, I get into, I don't know if this is me or if it's you guys or what, but like,
Dude,
I
it's
get
definitely
into
a me thing. I do this too.
to where you get into deep sad conversations with people you don't know.
Dude, yeah.
Happens to, so I think all three of us are like that, and that's why we're here right now.
I mean, we're kind of. I think we're kind of. I think it's not like. I don't think it's a bad thing to vibe out to kind of sadness or deep, existential kind of thoughts, because I mean, if those aren't always on your, and I feel like that's a proponent of highly driven people.
Yeah.
If those aren't always on your mind, if they are not in your face, then you wouldn't pay attention to it, because that's why we work hard, right?
Yeah.
Is that inspires us to push it a little bit further.
Well, that's a byproduct of being a creative person. You know, like I've noticed something about myself. I'm on day 8 of creating something new every day. That's been my goal, Charlie. A week
Good
ago,
stuff,
I decided I'm gonna create something new every single day, and I've noticed how introspective I've become.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is horrible. This is awful.
Yeah.
And just thinking about things that I've never thought of before and writing down. This is probably the biggest change that I've noticed. Anytime I like have an idea, I'll write it down, and it like kind of solidifies it. And it's made me kind of sad to think about all the years of my life that I've lived where I've had, you know, that golden idea.
Yeah.
It just is gone. I've just
Just
let it
pass
go.
you by.
Yeah, and it hurts. And so that's what keeps driving you every day, is like, there's going to be that one thing that is going to absolutely change my life just because I've acted on it.
Yeah. Like you can train yourself to get better and better at like being sensitive to when those golden ideas come. Even if it's like once a year or once in a lifetime, it's like you got to practice. But part of, like you guys are saying, part of practicing is like becoming more sensitive and more inward, and then you get more sad. It's like it's out of necessity that you do it to make anything even kind of good, though.
Yeah,
which
you have
sucks.
To have the forethought. Yeah. It's. I think we talked about this before about artists. I like saw a tweet or something. Is like, man, I need to get in relationships just so I can break up to create good art. Something like that.
Yeah.
just so you get your feels going. But we were talking about like being introspective is a huge part of an artist, because, and so I guess introspective people are always in their feels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like being able to like just even kind of not fake it, but being able to take the tiniest feeling or the tiniest change in your perception and like and expound upon it and make it into something that's like consumable. That's like, it doesn't have to be, I think the skill like that I have not achieved yet, but like great artists have, is being able to take anything. But it does come from like, you know, having that one grand experience or like horrible time in your life that like you make your first really good thing out of, and then training yourself to like get to the point where it could be just one thing someone says to you, and then being able to write an album about it or a song about it or whatever it is.
Well, that is vital, actually, that you brought that up, because it's one thing to be introspective, but if you stay there and you don't output anything from that, that's when people get, you know, like to the point of suicidal.
That's where
you feel no hope for anything. You have to output that still.
And that's what I think artists and language is super pivotal. And we were talking about this earlier, pivotal to like a society and community. It's because they have they're wordsmiths, and so they can use words to actualize that feeling, and that speaking it out has so much power, more than we realize.
Yeah, man. Like, man, I've been Matthew. I've been where what you were talking about. Like, I've been in that space for like the past year over quarantine. Like, in this space where it's only coming in, but I'm not doing anything or doing much with it, and I've gotten inward to the point where like I'm too sad to sometimes to make anything. And that's like the danger of it is taking too much in and like not doing anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to watch yourself. There's so many, like, in trying to make something cool, you have to watch yourself in so many areas, and that's just another one. Like, the ego was the first one we talked about, but like, that's another one, is making sure that you actually are on top of creating something, because you can give yourself a lot of credit for, like, I'm a creative person, I do this and that, I've made this and that in my past, but like, if you aren't putting it into practice on like a day-to-day basis, you kind of you're just living with the curse of like being a creative person, but not actually like reaping any of the benefits of it. And then you're not being able to say like, hey, this is, despite the fact that I'm always kind of depressed or like having to think deep about myself in order to like pull something from that, I have still made something that you can listen to or look at or whatever it is. Like, if you don't have that satisfaction of coming out the other side with something to show for it all, then like there's not much of a point, you know. That's where I've been and I don't know how to get out of it. It's weird. Like, I think I think what you're doing, like, is where you just create every day, is like the only way to get out of a slump like that, where you're just like, I'm going to, even if I have to force it and I don't have any good ideas or anything that I want to do or any drive to do this, I'm going to make something. Like,
that's what I did the first day that I started. I was like, well, shit, I don't know what to do. Like,
yeah.
And so I made a skit and like a video of me trying to figure out what to do for this. So it was like, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Adaptation with Nick Cage, but that's basically what it's about. Like, that movie, the actual director and writer was approached by someone to adapt a book into a movie, and he was like, I don't know how. So he made the movie about how this character who was tasked with adapting a book into a movie who didn't know how to actually do it.
Oh, that's so
awesome. It was like, it's meta.
That's meta.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
Meta as fuck.
And Nick Cage had like a twin brother who was like also himself in real life, and it was just like, it's a fascinating movie and a great concept, but that's basically like, sometimes that's what you have to do. Just like, you're always feeling something, and that's all you need to be able to create.
Yeah.
So
that's what Nerd D did, actually. We interviewed this guy last week, and that's what he did. So when he was in quarantine, he just like looked at a bunch of stuff in his room, and he was like, you know what, this is what I'm feeling. I'm feeling a little nostalgic, feeling a little like I need people around me.
Yeah.
Quarantine sucks, and so
yeah, he sampled like his PlayStation 4 startup noise. He sampled episodes from SpongeBob and like just anything.
Yeah.
He was just like, I need to use that, and he created a whole album out of it.
So there's a juxtaposition right now of like having writer's block, and then, which is, you know, not enough input is being put into you for you to create something. And then there's the other side of where you have the input, but you don't have the actualization, or maybe it's the energy to solidify it and make it.
Yeah, it's like, for me, it's the energy. I think it's not having an exciting enough life going on around you in order to like justify putting in the work. And that's kind of like a lazy thing to say, but honestly, that's kind of the way I feel, is like, my day to day is so similar. Like, today versus like last Tuesday is very similar, like what I do. And because of that, it's hard. Like, when things are going and you can like go to shows and like look at people playing music and look at people being successful and like go with all your friends and be like, yeah, like that's what I want to do. Like, this is why it's fun. Like, then you can come home and like be energized by seeing other people do it, or like being out in the world. But when you're just in your room reading or walking around, or even like hanging out with people, but just at your house, it's like, it's hard to like have a reason to do it sometimes.
Absolutely. And I want to say something to this, is because when you said the exact words of, I don't have an exciting life to put into, like to make, you know, art out of, with, so for you it's like, you know, music. I want to relate it to videography. There's a guy I fucking love this man. He's amazing. His name is Casey Neistat. So he makes a video every single day for like 2 years, and sometimes it's just weird stuff of just like him doing he would like have his own business and just doing paperwork.
Yeah.
And so from this guy, there's another videographer. His name is Jesse Driftwood, and he was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna do the same thing, except instead of uploading it to YouTube, I'm gonna upload it to Instagram Stories. So he used the media's platform to bolster him. And so what did he do? He made transitions really interesting and fun, and I copied that. Like, and that's sort of like, you know, external impacting us. We copy what we see, and so, you know, I started to do that. I don't have an interesting life, so I started making a video about heating up hot pockets and just trying to use transitions to make it fun and interesting.
It's anything.
And
the
daily, it's the daily, because you have that 24-hour deadline. If you don't make something, then you have nobody except yourself to blame for it, and then that holds you accountable.
Yeah.
And you have to post it too, because that posting is that accountability. That is the action of checking it off.
Yes.
Yeah. And you cannot.
That's what I did.
Oh, sorry.
No, just real quick, like that's what I did for my first video. The title of it was "I hate deadlines because they make me work." And like that's it. Because if I didn't decide that I was going to do something every day, then I would have just not done it.
Yeah.
Like I can just do it tomorrow because I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
But at some point, you just got to do it.
You can't do that though. Like you can't say I'll do it tomorrow, because then if you don't, you might, but if you don't, then you won't do it the next day. And it's like after a month of that or so, or the time frame can be whatever, like depending on who you are, but like after a certain point, like not doing it for that long will like affect your ego and affect your willingness to do it at all, because you'll just start beating yourself up for not doing it. And then it's like honestly, it is like kind of like going to the gym. Like if you don't do it on a consistent, you have to have that discipline. And it's like you will get farther and farther away from discipline the longer you don't exercise it.
Sloth.
Yeah.
Sloth was the right. And I listen to something that gets me really stoked and just amps me up is the Jocko podcast.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you ever heard of
Jocko Willink.
Yes.
That's the one.
Dude, okay, so I listened to his podcast. Like I have probably about 150 hours of him clocked in my mind.
Ooh.
And that if because falling into slumps is like my go-to, dude. I'm the master at slumps. I fall in them so much. And so when I pump his podcast in, he's talking about, well, you just gotta get after it. And it sounds so simple, but it's so true. And that's why, as I've taken on the responsibility of putting myself through that and being like, you know, Jimmy, if you're not going to do it, then you're not getting after it. And it makes it very black and white. Once you make it something black and white, you can look at yourself as, okay, I'm succeeding and then I'm failing. If you eliminate the gray area, then it becomes very easy to execute.
That's such good advice. The gray area is kind of like what you use to allow yourself to keep slacking.
Exactly.
So true, because you're saying I haven't failed yet.
Yeah.
But I'm still not succeeding.
Yes.
So you have to say, if I'm not succeeding, I am failing.
Exactly. Like waking up early. Oh, I want to stay in bed. My alarm's going off right now. Okay, A, I can get up, or B, I can stay sleeping. But the excuse is, oh, I'll sleep for 10 minutes, just hit the snooze, and then I'll wake up then. That's that gray area.
Yep.
If you, in your mind, if you say, okay, you know what? I'm not hitting it. I'm going to either sleep for an extra 2 hours because I know I'm not going to wake up, or I'm going to get my ass out of bed and start the day early. With some Inferno and Fuego.
And Fuego coffee.
Fuego.
That's what I'm drinking
coffee.
right now. And Fuego, it's a like
Fuego.
dark roast.
Yes.
It's nice, man. It's smooth. No bitterness.
Do you like coffee?
Yeah, I went to Starbucks before this, which I don't do often, but I got gift cards for Christmas for Crema.
Hey.
Nice.
And
Shout out
Christmas, and I went there, not to Christmas, to Starbucks, and I got a caramel latte with soy, and it was the worst fucking drink I have ever I think it was just made poorly, but like I paid $6 for it was I would rather have had nothing.
Charlie, I can make you a really good cup of coffee.
Yeah, he just became a barista.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know he drops his mic. He's like, "Oh, I know the hookup now." I know. So
where do you work?
Coffee's great.
Well,
I work at Summer. I work at Summer Moon.
There it is.
So it's a pretty chill place. Everybody there's like okay. This is a really cool thing too. And speaking about, I guess, the creative industry and teams and bands is that everybody there is set up decentralized command. And so what that is that everybody, has their own position and title, but they can hop around and jump around different positions. So everybody has a low ego. And if somebody does well, like if I guess our manager does really well, she doesn't say, oh, it was all me that I decided that. It's no, the team did. And that's super important with ego too. I forgot to say this, but when you're a leader and or if you have a team of people, it's not about you when you succeed. You succeeding is the team succeeding. When you fail, it is you. When the team fails, it's you because you are the leadership. You need to take the responsibility of guiding. That's extreme ownership by Jocko Willing. So it's another part of Jocko that I really like to subscribe to. But just, calling back to that. You were going to say something?
No, I was going to ask if you think that, I'm trying to think about a way to say it. Like, so if you're kind of like a group identity over individual identity when it comes to teams and such?
To success, yes, but when it comes to failures, it is my own responsibility. That because it's like it's such a weird it's like a dichotomy. If you succeed, the team succeeds. It's not you, it's the team. But if you fail, it is you and your sole responsibility because you had a job and apparently something went wrong. Something wasn't communicated clearly. You need to figure that out. But it always, at the end of the day, it always comes down to you are the sole reason that you fail. But if it's the success, it is the team. And that's the mindset you have to put yourself in when you're working together, because then who else is to blame but yourself? Okay, it's yourself. Then you have room to improve. Then you can do something about it.
I would like to disagree with you there. I want to provide a contrasting point. Because if you want to accept sole responsibility for the team's failure, that means that you're willing to accept the entire responsibility for the team's success.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
It
can't be either or.
It can be. So so let me explain this. It can be
because
either
if it is decentralized command like you're talking about, then it's also their responsibility to pick up your slack if you're failing.
And that's how they take on responsibility. Yeah. With the team.
So it wasn't all your fault.
No,
the team failed.
If you are the
team
leader,
failed, the team failed. You did not fail solely, because that means that you are the sole person responsible for the whole team.
Right. But I said at the beginning, we have positions and titles, right?
Yeah.
So those positions and titles, say I was team leader of us three, right? Okay, I'm team leader.
No, you're not.
Okay,
that's me.
Matthew, you want to be team leader?
No, I don't.
All right, so I'm team leader, and so we each have our own jobs. We pick up the slack because that's just a better workflow. So we're picking up the slack. But if I didn't communicate something to, say, Charlie, and Charlie starts falling off, you pick up after him, but you didn't communicate to me that, you're picking up slack for Charlie, so maybe you can't do your job, and we end up failing, it is my fault that I did not notice it. And you will take ownership too if it's a true decentralized command and be like, you know what, I didn't contact Jimmy. So it's everybody taking that kind of responsibility. That's the dichotomy
point,
here.
I guess. So we agree. We're just saying it different ways.
Yeah.
I'm probably just poor at communicating.
I mean, we could all improve. I'm definitely suck at words.
Everybody.
It is weird to hear someone to hear it said like, if it's a group success, then it's the group, but if it's failure, then it's on you.
Individual.
But I understand what you mean. It just sounds not. Yeah, I get it.
And it sounds like you're downing on yourself, and you're taking a little bit more load. But that's the ownership part, and that's why at the end of the day, that's why when it's a new day, sun starts shining, you can make a difference. It's not, oh, Deborah at the lunch meeting didn't bring the energy drink, so we were all failing. No, it's okay. At the next meeting, I'm going to bring the energy drinks because I know Deborah has a lot on her load, so I can fill in and help out with that. And that's where the improvement can come from.
Understanding and empathy can go a long way.
Yeah.
In everything. And the thing about success and failure is like a quote that I really like, that's about artists. It's like, an artist never fails. An artist only can go so long without giving up. So you'll never, like, you can go for 10 or for 20 years or for 30 years, Charlie, and you'll maybe never, and I'm not just saying this to bring you down, but you could go 40 years without ever becoming successful.
Yeah.
But then when you give up, that's when you really failed, because if you had just gone another couple of months, then maybe your break would have come or something like that.
Yeah.
Some people get really lucky and it happens really early, or at a very pivotal time in the industry or at a pivotal time in their life.
Yeah.
But you can only ever truly know that you failed when you give up as an artist.
Yeah.
So like that's just an inspiration to just keep trying it in some capacity, keep going.
Yeah. That's just like, it makes me depressed to think about that. But like, it's also kind of like a pressure off of your shoulders a little bit, because like it's, you always have the option to continue going and then know that you are succeeding, because it's one of the few things where like the attempt is the success. Because there's a lot, like most jobs are not like that. Like the execution is the success, and then it's still that way for like in some degree with art, but you'll always be able to say, you know, I did my best, and that will still matter. Like as opposed to a lot of jobs where your best sometimes doesn't cut it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that could be the end of your job, and that could be actual failure. If you don't cut it, it could be the end. And you won't always be able to say like, yeah, I mean, I try, you know, I can keep going, because maybe you won't be able to, but art is the one place where you will always be able to try again. No one will stop you.
Exactly. And it's about the process too. If you're not in love with the process, then, you know, are you succeeding daily? Because like you said, it's trying. What is trying? Oh, it's just getting your hands dirty. It is the process itself. So if you love the process, if you know, and it's like a romance, you know, it has its highs and it has its lows, and it's, you know, it's free flowing. So when you're doing that daily, and if you're telling yourself, I'm going to do that daily, and you're taking ownership of that, then it's like a wall. You know, you're going to build it brick by brick. You're not going to see a full wall of a house, but you're going to see the little stack you made. Maybe you didn't make as many bricks as yesterday as you did today, but you still got a brick on there. And if you didn't put any bricks on there, okay, the next day I'm going to add a brick to that wall. And it's just the responsibility that you take.
Yeah.
Something that we say a lot on here, Charlie, on this Not Network podcast, is that an artist loves the process, and someone who appreciates art loves the product.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
yeah,
something that like we said, we talked to a lot of 3D artists and animators and stuff like that. When I'm scrolling through Instagram and I see their stuff, I'm like, damn, that's dope. And then I move on, and I've appreciated it, but I'm not the one that is passionate enough to actually go and do it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's how I know that I'm just an appreciator, and I'm not the artist in that way.
Right.
And I liken it to editing, because I hate editing. And so I appreciate editors because I appreciate their final product. But if I'm doing the editing, I hate the process. So that's not something that I should do.
Yeah, and you can use that to like guide yourself towards what you actually want to do. Because like in the rare, it is. In the rare times that someone has like asked me for advice, like it doesn't happen often, but it in regards to art, I mean, like, what should I do? Should I get into music? Or how do I get into music? Whatever. Like, I think the proper answer is pretty much what you just said, being like, if you really wanted to do it, you wouldn't be asking. You would like, it's not about like, you really can't force it, because like if you don't have that initial drive to like figure out how it's done and the process behind it, like that's a pretty good sign that you won't have the energy to like sustain years.
It's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, like, and you need that obsession with the process itself. I'm still deciding whether or not I have that. I think I do, but
well, that's the cool thing I want to add to that is what we also talk about here on the Not Network podcast is that we talk about diversifying our kind of passions. So maybe we're stuck in this, you know, we're going hard at it, at this project. I guess for like, you know, music producing, I don't usually go into producing much, but I've spent a little bit of time into audition, and you know, maybe I'm trying to compress some file or you know, change, make it sound nice. And so if I'm going at it, I guess, super hard, maybe what I need to do is stop. I need to do something else that's kind of in a different avenue or in a different way. It's like you're like when we talk about tools, maybe this tool isn't working for what we're trying to do. Maybe let's try a different tool, and maybe that can spark a creative bunny trail that will, you know, make us get back to it or kind of reignite the passion. It's all
Yeah.
about these different, I guess, kindlings attached to bigger fires is how I look at it, because I like fire.
Yeah.
Just like lighting it up, getting your matches and go.
In mixing, there's something that like everybody refers to as perspective, and particularly losing perspective, and it happens really quickly because you just listen to the same song over and over again, different parts of the same song over and over again, and it's super easy to kind of like get focused on one little thing and then like screw up, make adjustments to that one thing, and then turn it like play the whole song back, and it's just like a completely different thing, and you've messed it up because you got focused on one element rather than the whole. But it's like everything is about maintaining that perspective. So I agree, and whatever that you can do to maintain that is necessary. And a lot of times that's just like stepping back and doing something else and coming back to it.
Yeah.
Yo, that's
something
what's up.
something we talked about last week with Nerdy was like his music that he actually listens to. So he's primarily like hip hop. Like that's what he does, and rap. But one of his favorite songs is The Devil Went Down to Georgia. And like he diversifies his music choices to not get comfortable with what he's listening to, so he doesn't make comfortable music. So I love that. I'll pose the same question to you. Are you like, do you listen to a lot of different genres? And
all over. It's like, it has to be an active choice. Like I seek out stuff that challenges me, and that's kind of like how those are the two categories that I've kind of figured out and seen in people, is like you either want to be challenged by what you're listening to or what you're consuming, or you don't. And like neither one is superior to the other. I just happen to be the kind that seeks out stuff I've heard. So yeah, like I try to listen to something I haven't heard every day, because that's like for musicians, you have to internalize all those influences, but you also, so you don't like rip people off actively, which I've done my fair share of, but like you also have to like listen to a lot in order to even internalize it in the first place. So that's what I try to do. I spent most of my time in quarantine doing that, just looking for stuff. And that's like, I think what any producer should do is like try to be up on what's happening, more so modern stuff than what's coming. That's what's happened in the past, but you got to do both.
What's your go-to playlist? Give us some of Fissionary's genres.
Ooh, dude, I'm not much of a playlist guy. I don't make a ton of playlists.
Okay.
I like to listen to albums in their entirety, just because like I'm personally pretty into like just how albums are constructed naturally. It's something
nice
that should be that I should be into, but like I like to listen to albums all the way through. That's pretty much the only way I listen to music. But I'm primarily a hip hop and electronic guy.
Nice.
I can really actually notice that in your music, because I'm normally like a playlist guy. Like I'll just go in and I have all my music in one playlist. I have
You're not a playlist guy.
900.
It's just your song.
Okay, that's true.
You're a song guy,
which are a bunch of. I'm very much song guy. So I'll just put shuffle on my 800 songs, and it can be anything.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna brag on you for a second, because this is your album.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to Learjets first before I listened to
Oh,
Descriptions.
shit. Good move.
And when I get in like the mood to listen to it, and I'll just listen to the whole thing all the way through in chronological order. I don't press shuffle. It's in my playlist still, but if I like want to listen to it, I'll listen to the whole thing.
Thank you, man.
And no, yeah, I really do love
that.
it.
That's
Seriously.
a compliment, because like
I
want it to be short enough and concise enough to where you never get tired of it. And I did that for both. And that's also like, that's something I'm saying, but really it's just because I am not as prolific as I want to be, and I couldn't make a full-length album in the time that I give myself. But like, it did work out in a way where I could arrange it to where like you could listen to it on a car ride home from school or whatever.
Yes.
And like,
that's exactly how it is.
Yeah.
You can definitely see your love for it from like what you're saying and then what you're actually doing in the album. Like what you said, you're creating it for somebody to listen from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Through the playlist. And I think that's super dope. That's intentionality or something like that.
Yeah.
Being intentional, and we really fuck with intentional.
Yeah, I mean that's what
things.
makes it like an art piece. Like the album, it's like it's a project and it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
It's one cohesive thing. Like some of the songs bleed straight into the next one. And
Yeah.
if one of the songs comes in on my playlist and the next one isn't right after it, I feel like it's missing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I'm so familiar with that the beginning of that next track bleeding from the previous one, which is very powerful. And one of my favorite artists, like I said earlier, is John Bellion, and his album, The Human Condition, kind of does that. The very last song loops into the first song, and so if you have his playlist on like repeat, the very last like piece of the very last song is the beginning of the first song.
That's wild.
And
That's sick.
It's just, I don't know if you've ever listened to that album or if you're a fan of his.
I've barely listened to John Bellion. I know Stupid Deep.
Stupid Deep. Okay. I have a project for you.
Okay.
I need you to listen to The Human Condition in its entirety.
Okay. Dude, I'll do that. If you have showed passion for John Bellion on multiple occasions in this podcast, I will no, but like if someone does that and then tells me to go listen to an album, I'm doing it. I'm listening.
Well, okay. Good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, dude, I wish we had like so much more time.
Oh,
because
shoot.
I know.
It's the
This
end
flew
right
by,
now.
didn't it?
Yes.
I know. But
shoot.
I got to like one of my questions, and that's completely okay. That's completely okay. Because I feel like we had a great conversation.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just gonna say it. I feel like we made a friend.
I feel like
All right.
we made
I feel like I made two friends.
Dude,
Aw.
what is up,
dude?
Sick.
But just real quickly, we have this recurring segment that I'm gonna
Okay.
change a little bit for you
Okay.
because you are a musician. You're the second musician we've ever had on.
yeah.
Normally, our segment is called "Explain That Tweet," but we're not gonna do that. We're
Oh,
gonna have
shit.
you explain that song title because some of your song titles I had to look up. I was like, what is this?
What the freaking crack is this?
What the flip?
I
That's
love
what
this.
I said verbally.
I think
So
I have
need
I have a
you-
guess as to which one you're gonna pick. I won't say
Okay,
it.
guess.
No, I won't. I'll
Okay.
say. Yeah, I won't say it.
I know
but
for a fact because I have three, and I
Y'all
know
can
a
say it
fact
at the
is in
same
there.
time.
one of them
Okay.
is eosinophilia.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, let's go.
Okay, so the go ahead and explain that one.
Okay, so I have a rare condition called eosinophilic esophagitis,
Whoa.
and it is there are white blood cell. I can't explain it very well, but there are basically like something or other called eosinophils in your blood, and they attack allergens when they enter your body, and that's basically what's responsible for like closing your throat for that allergic response for closing your throat. That's how I understand it. And everyone has them, but I have like a crazy number of them, and I'm allergic to milk. So when I drink milk, my throat goes and closes up. And so eosinophilia is a reference to that.
Okay, but why on that song though? Is it just like that's a cool word?
Because the chorus is I'm gonna lose my I'm gonna lose my effing mind.
Yeah.
And eosinophilia has been something that has plagued me for a long time, and it's like because I've gone like payway or like out with on a date or like whatever it is in horrible circumstances, and my throat is like shut, and I've had to like go to the hospital and shit.
Oh my god.
So it's
That's
something.
scary.
That song is about other things, but it's I wanted to think about something that bothered me and made me lose my mind, and eosinophilic esophagitis is one of the
Makes you lose
foremost
your effing
things.
mind.
It makes me lose my effing mind.
Wow.
That's tight.
That is tight. Pun intended.
Well, I think that's really cool. Linking that takes an amount of vulnerability
It does.
to link your art with what you do, and I guess that's why it's art, self-expression.
Yeah.
True to yourself. True to nobody else but you.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That is dope.
It's very rare. I've never met anybody else that has it. So
Yeah, I sure haven't. At least no one that was vocal about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
oh, by
not
the way.
something that you can really bring up casually.
Yeah, I suppose it's not.
What was the other title?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna say it wrong, but WinRAR.
Oh,
WINRAR.
WinRAR is a file. It's a file. What do you even call it? It's like an unzipping application for Windows. And
Yeah.
one of the
Users
lyrics.
cracked on you too.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's like it's one of the most notoriously ripped off softwares ever because they make you buy like when you can download it for free and get like a 30-day trial, but then they'll say it's time to pay for it, but they never make you. You can just keep using it. And so like the joke has been that no one ever pays for WinRAR. And one of the things in that song is downloaded, never used. And I just felt like that was close enough to WinRAR, a description of WinRAR. Because you also get it for one thing, and then you have it on your computer forever, and it just never does anything. So that's WinRAR. There's more meaning to that, but that was why I named it that in the first place.
That's beautiful, Charlie.
I love that.
Thank you so much for lending some of your time.
This was fun.
Man, this was so much fun.
Yeah, very much appreciate it. Just real quickly, we want to give you a second to plug your stuff.
Where can we find you?
Yes, follow me on Instagram at Fissionary. That's Fission. So Fission, and then Airy with 2 A's, like Nary, AARY. It's Fissionary. You'll be able to find me. That's kind of a confusing description, but Learjets is out. I'm proud of it. It's good. Woo! Go listen to it. It's on Spotify and Apple Music. Tidal everywhere else. Follow me on Instagram. Look out. I've got stuff coming out this year. Both me and another artist, my brother. So it's gonna be a good year. Shout out to bro. Thanks, guys.
Stubbs. Yeah, I'm super pumped about it. And thank you so much, guys. We're not networking.
We're making friends.
Thank you so much for listening to the Not Network Pod. We much appreciate Charlie, Mr. Stubbs, for coming on and chilling with us. And if you missed where to find him, dude, we got everything linked in the show notes, bro. So go check that out. Matthew works super hard on it. He's such a champ. And I want you to have the best freaking day ever, dude.